Be ready to dive deep into Far Eastern culture, because today I will be telling the story of one of the most beautiful series in animation history, Kung Fu Panda. If you are ready to witness an ordinary panda transform into the Dragon Warrior, then let's begin. Our film begins with the story of an invincible warrior. A warrior who traveled the world in pursuit of enemies worthy of fighting. How many opponents he defeated did not matter, no one could match his valor. No panda had ever inspired this much fear, nor had any panda ever been loved this little. Even the heroes of the Chinese realm bowed with respect before this great master. Even the Furious Five, feared throughout the land, showed reverence in his presence. In truth, this story has no real foundation, because what we just watched was merely a dream, our main character Po's dream. We stop the scene and see that he is actually an ordinary panda working beside the one he calls his father. Still, take this story seriously, because you will certainly hear it again. We can say that our character lives a very simple life. Aside from working next to the goose he sees as his father, which is quite strange when you consider their physical differences, he has a deep interest in martial arts. However, due to his physical traits, he is limited to watching from afar. With his large belly, sagging arms, and fluffy body, even imagining himself fighting is difficult. Even though he is aware that he is a panda, he cannot suppress the passion inside him. He dreams of leaving behind his modest life within four walls and setting out on adventures. So why doesn't he do it? Because breaking shells is not such an easy matter. Whenever he speaks about this with his father, the only person in his life, we see his enthusiasm get crushed. The dialogue we hear at the beginning of the film is a very good example of this. Did you ever want anything other than making noodles? When I was young, I wanted to run away from here and learn how to make tofu. But it was a foolish idea. I mean, who was I to make tofu? Everyone has a place in this world. Mine is here. His father is right. In this world, everyone has a place. But if we never set out on the road, we will never discover where we truly belong. Speaking about destiny without knowing yourself is wrong. You may think you have arrived at your destination, yet you may have only just begun your journey. Just like our character Po. At this point, the story pauses, not to move forward, but to look inward. Po's life is not tragic in the traditional sense. He is safe, he is fed, he is loved, and yet, something is missing. This is one of the quiet truths the film understands deeply. A person can have everything they need to survive, and still feel like they are slowly disappearing. Po does not suffer because he is weak. He suffers because his inner world is larger than the life he has been assigned. Every dream he has feels unrealistic, childish, impossible, and the world around him constantly confirms this belief. So he does what many people do. He learns to laugh at his own dreams before others can laugh at them. But dreams do not disappear when ignored. They wait. And sometimes, all it takes is a single moment for the entire balance of a life to collapse. One day, a great announcement echoes throughout the Valley of Peace. The Dragon Warrior will finally be chosen. This news shakes the entire valley. Everyone rushes toward the Jade Palace to witness this historic moment. Po, who has waited his entire life for such an opportunity, is late once again. No matter how hard he tries, he cannot arrive on time. Blocked by guards, Po struggles desperately to enter the palace. But no matter what he does, he fails. At that very moment, Master Ogway prepares to make the most important decision of his life. With a simple movement of his finger, he will point to the Dragon Warrior. The Furious Five stand proudly before him. Each of them trained their entire lives for this moment. Each one believes, deep down, that they deserve this title. And then, something unexpected happens. By a completely absurd coincidence, Po launches himself into the air and lands right in front of Master Ogway. Silence fills the palace. Everyone freezes. The finger that determines destiny points toward Po. At that moment, the life of an ordinary panda changes forever. No one understands what just happened. Not the Furious Five, not the Masters, not the people of the valley, and most importantly, not Po himself. Even Po believes this must be a mistake, because everything he has lived until now has taught him the opposite. He is clumsy, he is slow, he is overweight, and he has never trained in Kung Fu a single day in his life. So how could he possibly be the chosen one? From this moment on, the film constantly asks us a single question. Is destiny something we are born into, or something we earn? Master Shifu, the teacher of the Furious Five, is completely against this decision. In his eyes, Po is nothing more than a joke. Training begins, but Po fails at everything. He cannot keep up. He cannot balance. He cannot even stand properly. Every attempt ends in embarrassment. The Furious Five mock him. Shifu loses his patience, and Po slowly begins to believe that everyone is right, that he does not belong here. Being chosen is often romanticized. Stories tell us that selection brings glory, recognition, and instant belonging. But reality is far more uncomfortable. When Po is named the Dragon Warrior, he does not step into admiration. He steps into isolation. Suddenly, everyone is watching him, not with hope, but with doubt. Expectations become heavier than failure ever was. And this is the paradox of destiny. The moment you are chosen, you are no longer allowed to be ordinary. Mistakes are no longer small. Weakness is no longer tolerated. Growth is no longer patient. Po is surrounded by masters, yet he feels completely alone. Because destiny does not explain itself. It does not comfort you. It simply places you somewhere unfamiliar and waits to see whether you will break or adapt. One night, unable to endure the humiliation any longer, Po decides to leave the Jade Palace. He believes that this place was never meant for him. However, before he can go, Master Ogway appears before him. This encounter marks one of the most important moments of the film. Ogway tells Po that there are no accidents, that everything happens for a reason. Po does not understand these words, because from his perspective, everything that has happened so far feels like a mistake. Ogway then looks at Po and says something crucial. You are too concerned with what was and what will be. These words summarize Po's entire inner conflict. He is trapped between the life he lived and the life he dreams of. He cannot exist in the present moment. Ogway continues by explaining that yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present. Shortly after this conversation, Master Ogway passes away. With his death, the responsibility falls entirely on Master Shifu. For the first time, Shifu begins to question himself. Perhaps the mistake was not choosing Po. Perhaps the mistake was how he tried to teach him. Shifu realizes that Po cannot be trained like the Furious Five, because Po is not like them. So he changes his method. Instead of forcing discipline through pain and pressure, he discovers Po's true weakness, and his true strength. Food. Through food-based training, Po begins to improve. For the first time in his life, Po is not failing. He is fast. He is strong. He is creative. What once seemed like a flaw now becomes his greatest advantage. The body that made him an outsider is now the body that allows him to succeed. Slowly, Po begins to believe. Not because others tell him to, but because he finally sees it himself. Change is rarely dramatic. There is no clear moment where a person suddenly becomes who they are meant to be. More often, change is quiet. It happens in moments of confusion, in pauses filled with doubt, in decisions that feel insignificant at the time. Po does not wake up one day believing in himself. He simply stops running away from who he already is. This is the difference between transformation and imitation. Imitation is loud. Transformation is subtle. Po's body does not change. His abilities do not magically appear. What changes is his relationship with himself. For the first time, he is not asking, "Why am I like this?" He is asking, "How can this be useful?" And that question changes everything. Meanwhile, a great danger approaches the Valley of Peace. Tai Lung, the former student of Master Shifu, escapes from the prison where he has been held for years. Tai Lung is not an ordinary villain. He is someone who was once believed to be the chosen one. Years ago, Master Ogway foresaw darkness within him and refused to grant him the Dragon Scroll. This decision broke Tai Lung. Feeling betrayed, he turned against everything he once protected. Now, he is coming back. His goal is clear: to take the Dragon Scroll by force and prove that he was always destined to be the Dragon Warrior. Fear spreads throughout the valley. The Furious Five are sent to stop him. But they fail. One by one, they are defeated. Hope begins to fade. Shifu realizes the weight of his past mistakes. Tai Lung is not just his enemy. He is the result of his own arrogance. With no other choice left, Shifu turns to Po. There is no more time for doubt. Po must face Tai Lung. Before the battle, Po finally receives the Dragon Scroll. This scroll is said to hold limitless power, the ultimate secret of Kung Fu. Po opens it, and finds nothing. There is no technique, no instructions, no hidden message, just a blank surface that reflects his own face. Confused and disappointed, Po does not understand. But his father does. He explains the secret ingredient of his famous noodle soup. There is no secret ingredient. It is just you. At that moment, everything becomes clear. The power was never inside the scroll. It was inside Po all along. Belief. Once Po truly believes in himself, nothing can stop him anymore. Every antagonist is a mirror. Tai Lung is not simply a villain who seeks power. He is a warning. He represents what happens when identity is built entirely on expectation. Tai Lung was not taught who he was. He was told who he was supposed to be. And when that future was taken away, nothing remained. This is the tragedy of entitlement. When belief comes from external validation, its absence becomes destruction. Po and Tai Lung stand on opposite ends of the same path. One believes he is nothing and must discover his value. The other believes he is everything and cannot survive being denied. Their confrontation is not about strength. It is about perspective. And only one of them is capable of change. Po confronts Tai Lung in an epic battle. At first, everything seems overwhelming. Tai Lung is faster, stronger, and more experienced. But something is different now. Po is no longer trying to be someone else. He is no longer imitating the Furious Five. He is no longer chasing an ideal that was never meant for him. He fights as himself. And that changes everything. Every weakness Tai Lung tries to exploit turns into an advantage for Po. His body absorbs the blows. His clumsiness becomes unpredictability. His weight becomes power. What once made him laughable now makes him unstoppable. In the end, Po defeats Tai Lung. Peace returns to the valley. The people cheer. The Furious Five bow with respect. And Po finally takes his place among them. But this story is not just about Kung Fu. It is about identity. It is about accepting who you are, instead of trying to become who you are not. It teaches us that destiny is not something written for us at birth, but something we discover when we have the courage to believe in ourselves. Sometimes, the very thing that holds us back is the thing that will carry us forward. And sometimes, the Dragon Warrior was never missing. He was simply waiting to be seen. If you enjoyed this video and found value in the story of Kung Fu Panda, consider supporting the channel by subscribing to Reality Beyond. On this channel, we explore the deeper meanings behind films, animations, and stories that go beyond simple entertainment. We focus on complete story breakdowns, hidden themes, philosophy, and the ideas that often go unnoticed. Subscribing helps the channel grow and allows me to continue creating long-form video essays like this one, exploring entire stories from beginning to end, with detailed analysis and thoughtful narration. If you appreciate deep storytelling, cinematic analysis, and content that looks beyond the surface, Reality Beyond is a place built exactly for that. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for being part of the journey.